When someone hurts you deeply, it's natural to feel the sting of anger rising within you. That surge of energy, that almost primal need to strike back, feels as though it would restore some sense of balance. Revenge seems to whisper a promise. It tells you that by retaliating you'll feel whole again, that you'll erase the pain. But if you pause, even for a moment, and let the intensity of that initial emotion settle, something remarkable happens. You start to see the situation from a different perspective, one that reveals a deeper truth about power and freedom. You see, the act of not reacting immediately or not reacting at all isn't about weakness. It's the ultimate display of strength. When you react impulsively, you hand over your power to the person who hurt you. In seeking revenge, you allow their actions to dictate your own. They've already wounded you once, why let them steer your course further? By choosing non-reaction, you step off the chessboard entirely. You are no longer a piece in the game. You become the one watching, observing, and ultimately walking away unscathed by the ongoing drama. It's a paradox, really. The world often teaches us that to be strong is to strike back, to assert ourselves with force. But true strength is quieter. It doesn't need to roar, it simply stands unshaken. Imagine someone hurling stones into a calm lake. If the lake lashes back in waves, it loses its tranquility. But if it absorbs the stones without resistance, it remains serene, untouchable, and whole. Non-reaction isn't about ignoring what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing where to direct your energy. When you hold on to anger or focus on revenge, you tie yourself to the person who hurt you. It's as though you've attached an invisible rope between yourself and them, and every time you think about the pain, every time you plot your response, you tighten the knot. The irony is that revenge doesn't free you, it binds you further. The more you try to balance the scales, the heavier the burden becomes. But when you choose not to react, you sever that rope. You reclaim the power to decide how the story ends, and suddenly their actions lose their hold over you. It's not an act of submission, but of profound liberation. By refusing to retaliate, you're not saying, "What they did was okay." You're saying, "I won't let their actions define me or dictate how I live." And here's the secret. This isn't just about them, it's about you. The space you create by not reacting gives you room to heal, to reflect, and to grow. It's in that pause, in the stillness that follows restraint, where you begin to understand yourself more deeply. You start to see that your sense of peace isn't something that others can grant or take away. It's something that resides within you, waiting for you to nurture and protect it. In life, there will always be people who hurt us, intentionally or not. Some wounds will be minor, like scratches that fade with time, and others will cut deep. But every time we face such pain, we are given a choice to perpetuate the hurt or to break the cycle. By choosing non-reaction, you not only free yourself, but also send a ripple into the world, a reminder that peace can prevail even in the face of pain. So when someone hurts you badly, resist the urge to react in haste. Instead, let their actions pass through you like wine through an open window, felt, but not held. The quiet power of non-reaction isn't just an act of strength, it's a declaration of freedom. The one who masters their response becomes untouchable. And in that mastery, you'll find that you've already won. When someone hurts you deeply, the most instinctive response is to ask, why? Why did they do this? Why did they feel the need to harm you? In searching for answers, we often try to make sense of their actions through the lens of our own values and expectations. But here's the truth most of the time. The way people treat you has far more to do with them than it ever does with you. Their actions, their words, even their cruelty, are reflections of their inner world, not yours. It's difficult to see this when the pain is fresh. The mind wants to draw conclusions and to take their behavior personally. It's as though their actions become a mirror in which you start to question your worth. But let's think about this carefully. If someone lashes out at you, if they choose to harm you in some way, does that really say anything about your value as a person? Or does it speak volumes about the state of their own heart and mind? People carry wounds you cannot see. Their pain, insecurities, and fears often drive their actions. When someone hurts you, they might be projecting their own struggles onto you. They may not even realize the full weight of what they're doing because they are lost in their own turmoil. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does offer a perspective that can free you from carrying the burden of blame. You didn't create their pain, and it's not your responsibility to fix it. I think of it like this: if a tree's roots are damaged, its fruit will be bitter. The bitterness is not the fault of the passerby who tastes the fruit. It comes from something deep within the tree itself. Similarly, when someone causes harm, their actions are often rooted in something internal: fear, insecurity, or unresolved anger. The question is, do you want to carry their bitterness within you, or will you choose to let it pass through you without taking it in? When you realize that their behavior is a reflection of their inner world, you begin to take their actions less personally. You see that their cruelty doesn't diminish your worth or define your character. It simply reveals where they are in their journey. And in understanding this, you create space for compassion, not for them necessarily, but for yourself. And compassion for the part of you that might have taken their words or actions to heart, that might have started to believe the lies their pain tried to tell you about yourself. This perspective doesn't mean you accept mistreatment or justify what they've done. Boundaries are still essential, but understanding that their actions stem from their struggles can help you to detach emotionally. You can step back and say, this isn't about me. This is something they're carrying, and I won't let it become my burden. When you stop personalizing their behavior, you also stop feeding the cycle of pain. Instead of reacting with anger or retaliation, you respond with clarity and calm. This isn't an act of submission, it's an act of empowerment. You're reclaiming your peace by refusing to let their chaos disturb your inner world. The key is to remember that their hurtful actions are like shadows cast by their own wounds. You are not the cause of those wounds, and you are not the shadow they cast. You are the light that remains untouched, the clear sky above the storm. So the next time someone's actions cut deep, pause and ask yourself, is this really about me? Or is it about something they're carrying? The moment you see the answer clearly is the moment you take your power back. Their pain doesn't define you. Only you have the power to decide what becomes part of your story. Let their actions be a chapter in their own, not in yours. When someone hurts you, there's a natural impulse to strike back, to balance the scales, to show them the pain they've caused. It feels like justice, doesn't it? But here's the thing about revenge: it rarely brings the satisfaction we imagine it will. Instead, it often binds us even more tightly to the very pain we're trying to escape. Think about it. When you act out of a desire for revenge, you aren't acting from a place of peace or clarity. You are reacting, and reactions, by their very nature, are controlled by something outside of you. In that moment, the person who hurt you is still holding the reins. They've already caused you harm, and now they're dictating your next move. Is that what you want? To let their actions continue to ripple through your life, shaping your choices, your emotions, your state of mind. Revenge creates a cycle. It might feel like release in the moment, but it's a trap. When you hurt someone in return, you perpetuate the pain, ensuring that it continues to live on in some form, whether it's in you, in them, or in the people around you who are caught in the fallout. And here's the truth: whatever you send out into the world has a way of coming back to you. That's not some mystical notion, it's simply the reality of how actions influence the environment around us. But letting go of revenge doesn't mean you're letting them off the hook. It doesn't mean their actions were okay, or that you're pretending the hurt never happened. No, letting go of revenge is about refusing to let their actions define your future. It's about stepping off the wheel of reactivity and saying, I choose my own path. I won't let this pain own me. Choosing not to retaliate requires strength. It's not weakness, as some might believe. It's mastery. It's the ability to stand firm in the face of your own anger and say, I won't be ruled by this. That kind of strength doesn't just liberate you from the grip of revenge, it also creates a space for something else to emerge healing. When you focus on revenge, your attention stays fixed on the wound. It's like picking at a scab, keeping it raw and open. But when you step back and say, this person's actions don't deserve to live rent-free in my mind, you begin to shift your energy inward. You begin to ask, what do I need to heal? What can I do to move forward? This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending you're fine. Feel the hurt. Acknowledge the anger. Let it rise up within you so that it can pass through you, rather than settling in and taking root. But don't let it drive your actions. Let it be a visitor, not a permanent resident. And here's the powerful truth: the best response to someone who has tried to harm you is to live well. Not in a performative way, not as a way to show them what they missed, but as a genuine act of reclaiming your life. When you focus on your own growth, your own peace, your own joy, you rise above the pain. You become untouchable, not because the hurt didn't happen, but because you've transformed it into something that no longer has power over you. Living well is the ultimate freedom. It's the greatest act of defiance against those who try to diminish you. It says, your actions don't control me. My life is mine to shape. So when the temptation for revenge creeps in, pause and ask yourself, what do I really want? Do you want to stay tethered to the pain, or do you want to rise above it? The choice is yours. And when you choose to let go, you reclaim your strength, your peace, and your power. That's the kind of victory no one can take away. When someone has hurt you deeply, it's tempting to carry that pain with you like armor, as if holding on to it will protect you from being hurt again. But the truth is, holding on to pain doesn't shield you, it weighs you down. It narrows your perspective and keeps you tethered to the very moment you want to escape from. Pain has a strange way of embedding itself into our identity. We tell ourselves stories about what happened, why it happened, what it says about us. Over time, those stories become part of how we see the world and our place in it. But here's the thing: those stories are not fixed. They're not the ultimate truth. They're simply narratives we've built around an event. And if we can build them, we can also dismantle them. The first step to truly moving forward is recognizing the story you've been telling yourself. Is it a story of betrayal? Of unfairness? Of helplessness? Once you identify it, ask yourself, does this story serve me? Does it help me grow? Or does it keep me stuck? Most of the time you'll find that the story isn't serving you, it's just replaying the pain on a loop, keeping it alive. Letting go of that story doesn't mean you're erasing what happened. The event is real, the hurt is real, but your attachment to it doesn't have to be. You can acknowledge the pain without letting it define you. In fact, the act of releasing it is what allows you to step into a new chapter of your life, one that isn't shaped by the actions of someone else. And here's an important point: letting go is not about them. It's not about forgiving for their sake or pretending everything is fine. It's about freeing yourself. It's about saying, I deserve peace, and I won't let this pain rob me of it any longer. Think of pain like a wound. If you keep poking at it, it festers. But if you tend to it, clean it, dress it, and give it time to heal, it eventually fades into a scar. And what is a scar, really? Really? It's evidence that you've survived, that you've endured, and that you've moved beyond. Of course, letting go is easier said than done. It's not a switch you can flip, it's a process. It requires patience, self-compassion, and sometimes even stepping away from environments or people that keep reopening the wound. And that's okay. Healing doesn't have a deadline. It happens in its own time as long as you remain committed to the process. One of the most powerful tools for letting go is shifting your focus inward. Instead of fixating on what they did, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? This doesn't mean you have to be grateful for the hurt. It means you're choosing to find meaning in it. You're turning pain into wisdom, into resilience, into strength. And here's the remarkable thing: when you let go, you make space. Space for joy, for love, for new experiences that aren't clouded by the past. You open yourself up to possibilities that were hidden behind the walls you built to protect yourself. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means no longer letting the pain dictate your life. The freedom that comes with letting go is transformative. It's the moment you realize that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else, that you have the power to create a life that feels good, not in spite of what happened, but because you chose to rise above it. So, when the time feels right, and only you will know when that is, release the grip of the past. Not for them, but for you, because you deserve peace. You deserve to feel light again. And the moment you let go, you'll find that the weight you were carrying was never yours to hold in the first place. When someone hurts you deeply, it's easy to think that your power lies in reacting, in showing them that their actions have consequences, that you are not someone to be trifled with. But true power doesn't come from reacting, it comes from rising. From showing that your spirit, your sense of self, is far bigger than the pain they caused. When you choose not to retaliate, you're not being passive. You're not letting them off the hook. You're making a conscious decision to step out of the cycle of hurt and response, which only perpetuates suffering. The revenge might feel satisfying in the moment, but it ties you to the very person you want to distance yourself from. It keeps you emotionally entangled, replaying the hurt over and over again. Is that really what you want? Think of it this way: when you react, you're giving them control. Their actions dictate your emotions, your choices, your energy. But when you choose not to engage, you're reclaiming your freedom. You're saying, I will not let this define me. I will not let you pull me into your storm. And in doing so, you're stepping into a kind of strength that no act of retaliation can match. This isn't about pretending to be unaffected or suppressing your feelings. It's okay to feel hurt, angry, or betrayed. Acknowledge those emotions, they're valid. But once you've allowed yourself to feel them, ask yourself what serves you best, holding on to that anger or letting it dissipate. When you resist the urge to strike back, something extraordinary happens. You start to see things more clearly. You realize that their actions were never really about you, they were about them. Their insecurities, their struggles, their inability to handle their own pain. Hurt people hurt others. It's a sad truth. But when you understand this, you stop taking their actions so personally. You see them for what they are: reflections of their own turmoil, not a measure of your worth. And here's the beauty of rising above it: shifts the narrative. It shows the world and yourself that you are not defined by the pain inflicted on you. Instead, you become defined by your ability to transcend it, by your ability to grow stronger, kinder, and more resilient in the face of adversity. This doesn't mean you have to reconcile with them, or even forgive them in the traditional sense. Forgiveness isn't about excusing their behavior or inviting them back into your life. It's about releasing yourself from the grip of resentment. It's about saying, I will not let this consume me, because holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. The greatest revenge is not revenge at all. It's your peace. It's living a life so full, so rich, that the pain becomes a distant memory. It's building a life where their actions no longer have the power to dictate your happiness. Imagine what you could do with all the energy you're spending on anger or plotting retaliation. You could create something beautiful, connect with people who uplift you, or dive into the things that light up your soul. That's where your energy belongs, not in the past, but in the possibilities of the present. When you rise above, you inspire others to do the same. You become a living example of strength, grace, and wisdom. And that's far more powerful than any act of revenge could ever be. It's a quiet, profound kind of power, the kind that doesn't shout but radiates. So when someone hurts you badly, choose to rise. Choose to reclaim your energy, your peace, your power. Because the moment you stop reacting, you start healing. And that is the ultimate victory. When someone causes you pain, it's natural to feel like they've stolen something from you, your trust, your peace, maybe even your sense of self-worth. But here's the truth: they only hold as much power as you allow them. It's tempting to fixate on their actions, to keep revisiting the why and how, but in doing so, you're giving them more power over you. The key isn't to erase what happened, it's to learn how to reclaim your energy and redirect it towards your own growth. Imagine this: your energy is like water in a stream. When someone hurts you, it's as though they've placed a dam in your flow. The water builds up, crashing against the obstruction, unable to move forward. But here's the thing: streams don't stop. They find a way around. They carve new paths. That's your task, not to stay stuck at the dam, but to flow beyond it. The first step is realizing that holding on to the pain only serves to trap you in the past. It might feel like keeping the hurt alive gives you control over it, but all it does is keep you tethered to a moment you can't change. What if instead you shifted your focus, not to forget, but to let that pain transform into a new kind of awareness? Because here's the beautiful irony: the deeper the hurt, the more profound the lessons. Pain is a powerful teacher, and while it's not an easy one, it often delivers the kind of growth that nothing else can. When someone hurts you, they inadvertently reveal things about yourself, your boundaries, your resilience, your values. They highlight where you might need to heal, where you need to stand stronger, and where you need to let go. This isn't about excusing their behavior. It's about taking what you've been through and turning it into a source of strength. It's about alchemy, turning pain into wisdom. You can let their actions define your story, or you can take control of the narrative. And when you choose the latter, you're no longer the person who was hurt, you're the person who grew. This process isn't instantaneous. It's not like flipping a switch. It's a conscious choice you make every day to focus on yourself instead of what they did, to prioritize your own healing and well-being over the urge to seek validation or justice. And in time, you'll notice something remarkable. The hold they had on you will begin to fade. You'll start to see that the pain wasn't the end, it was a turning point. Rebuilding after hurt doesn't mean going back to who you were before. It's about becoming someone new, someone wiser, stronger, more aligned with who you truly are. When you focus on your growth, you naturally begin to attract better things into your life: people who respect you, opportunities that excite you, moments that bring genuine joy. And here's the kicker: when you grow, it often leaves the person who hurt you behind. Not because you're trying to punish them, but because you've simply outgrown the space where their actions could reach you. Let them see you rise not out of spite, but out of love for yourself. Let them witness the life you're building, one rooted in peace and purpose. Not for their sake, but for yours. Because the best way to reclaim your power isn't to make them regret what they did, it's to show yourself that you were always capable of rising, regardless of what they took. At the end of the day, your life is yours to shape. Let the hurt be a chapter, not the whole story. Because the most profound act of strength isn't revenge, it's choosing your own healing. And when you do, you step into a kind of freedom that no one can take away.